It's Ginger from Stamping the Cape, and I'm here with my second June Stamp Club project, which I showed you already this card in my first video. So today we're going to be doing, or in this video, we're going to be doing this card. Again, I'm using the Verdant Garden stamp set for this little flourish on the background. This sentiment is from the Itty Bitty Greetings stamp set, which is actually a two-box set of all kinds of sentiments, and I thought I would use with love and sympathy. We always need a sympathy card, and I think this is kind of a peaceful, serene type. As I said in the first video, I love these papers that are part of the suite. They're very soothing and calming, and as a result of this technique, you also get the paper on the inside. So, so this is the project, and this is our third card we'll be doing in my third video. So let's get cracking. And again, if you'd like to get the supplies, all the paper, die cuts, and whatnot for the punches for this project, just make a purchase of $35 or more using my host code for June by June 30th, and I'll send you all the paper products. You'll just need stamps and inks to take care of these projects. So let's get started. And again, there's a PDF on my blog that will be linked at the bottom of this video where it has all the supplies I used and measurements. So this is a piece of garden green cardstock that I've cut at 4 1/4 by 11. If you prefer, there's no reason why you couldn't do it at 5 1/2 by 8 1/2, scored at 4 1/4 if you'd rather have it open the standard way. And I'm going to show you a little trick for how I cut this little piece open. I was going to use the stitched rectangles, and I thought, well, I'm using the stitched circle here from the stitched shaped dies, so I thought, why don't we just stay with that family, and I'll show you how to create a rectangle cut with the stitched die. You won't get stitching on the outer perimeter, but you'll get a separate piece that's stitched you can always use on another project. So let me make some room here, and I'll bring over the Big Shot. Let's see. Okay, so hopefully you can see that in the camera. Yep, I think we're good. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up my card, and this will be the front, and I want to cut a rectangle that is kind of centered in here to the best of my ability. So I'm going to take the stitched, this is the largest square, and I'm going to place it about 1 inch or so from the top, from my score line, and try to get it in the center. Now I like to use removable tape to secure my dies. I find sometimes that washi tape can tear your cardstock, and if my plate is bent a little bit, the magnet tends not to be really holding it firmly in place. So I like to, just for safety's sake and make sure I don't have a little bit of a mess up, use my removable tape. So what we're going to do is we're going to place our plate not all the way over the die. We don't want it to cut off at this edge. So we're going to place it right about almost all the way down, just about a fraction, no, not even a 1/2 inch from the edge of that die. And we're going to run this through the Big Shot. And because we're not covering this portion of the die, it won't cut there. Okay. So I'll show you what that looks like. So we're going to take this out. So as you can see, we've cut this portion of our shape. So we've cut the top half. So now we're going to finish off that square, and what I do is, you can feel, if you place your die in here, you can feel it connect to the stitches underneath. It'll fit in those grooves, and it should give us a nice rectangle. It may not be perfectly measured at top and bottom, but I think it's a great way. And then you can see you're going to get this rectangular stitch piece that you can use on another card. So now this time I'm going to move my cardstock to the top here, and we're going to cut from this portion down. So you're going to put your plate, because under here is already cut, and we're going to slide that in and cut the bottom. And this time we'll go all the way through, and if all goes as planned, we get our center cut out. I can remove my tape. So we have our centerpiece, and then we have another piece that you can use on another project. So we'll put that aside. So that's all I need for my die cutting at this point. Okay. So I have cut, this is, let's see, this measures 3.5 by 4.5, and I decided I wanted this piece on the inside, showing from the inside there, so that you have this piece here. And I think if we line that up pretty evenly, we should be good. So I'm going to take my snail, and I just ran my snail close to the edge of this frame. If you want to use the Tombow liquid glue, that would work perfectly. It'll give you an opportunity to shift your card around a little bit as far as trying to get it centered. But I'm hoping it worked for me the first time, so I'm hoping this is going to work this time. So I'm going to try to center it on this part of the card front, so we're even on the front and the back. There we go. Now if you have any adhesive showing, you can just roll it off. Snail is pretty forgiving, and I made it a little bit further than I should have. I think this might be right on the edge, but I'll take care of that later. Okay, so now we're going to create our little embellishment here in the front. So I've already die cut a circle from the Stitch Circle dies, and we're going to use soft sea foam and garden green for this background. And as I said, on my 3 projects, all the greens other than, I believe, Old Olive or maybe Shaded Spruce is another one, have been used in this Designer Series paper series. So they've got a lot of greens, and they're just lovely, lovely. Okay, so I'm taking this little vine stamp from the set. It's this one here. Okay, I realized I was selecting the wrong color. We need Pear Pizzazz for this little background image. So I'm going to use my foam pad, and because I'm going to be stamping off and I don't want to get ink on my piercing mat here, my foam mat, I'm going to protect it with this paper. So we're going to go in with Pear Pizzazz, and we're going to stamp off and fill in our background images so that we just get a little bit lighter color here. There we go. And stamp off. And go right in here. And I like using the foam pad. It really transfers that ink really well. So now we're going to switch to Garden Green, which is our other coordinating color. It's the background of the Designer Series paper has it in it. Our card base is Garden Green, and that's going to work just fine. All right, and this one we're going full strength, and I'm just gonna kind of do an overlay a little bit. Let's see, we'll move this around. And I just do it like that. Okay, so we've got both our greens there. And then I'm also going to do my sentiment. Now I'm using, as I said, I'm using the Itty Bitty Greetings, and I want to give you a tip. Now these, if you order the Itty Bitty Greetings or any of our stamps that were clear mount originally, now you're going to get them in cling mount, which they really hold. And sometimes these little narrow stamps, there's some difficulty with keeping them on the block. But what I'm doing, and I recommend this to anyone who's buying new cling stamps, this was a cling stamp sheet, and as you can see, there's lots of extra paper here left over, adhesive. So what I've been doing is I've been cutting pieces to match the size of whatever the stamp is, and then you're going to want to peel. Once you cut that piece off, you're going to want to peel this layer off and then place it over your existing sentiment, and this will give you the same adhesive as your cling mounts, so you won't have any more problems of these falling off off your stamp block. So let me do this, and hopefully I can get this sentiment right the first time. This can be a little tricky. It's such a tiny, I'm just going to test it over here. Okay, that's good. Let's see if I can do just as well here. Good, I think that'll work. Just with these little sentiments, you don't want to push too hard. You don't have a lot of surface area there. So sometimes if you push too hard, you end up getting a smudged kind of image. You don't get a nice clean, clean print. So I just need to get my scissors, and we're going to just cut a tiny little pennant here, and you just cut in the middle, and then you cut from this corner to the middle, and from this corner to the middle. Same on the other side. Cut in the middle, as far up as far up as you'd like your pennant long. This one, I'm not doing them too long. My point's too long. They're just little tiny flags. So there we go. And then for this piece, I'm just going to cut at the diagonal. So I'm just going to cut from about here up to the point. And then going in the same angle, I'm going to cut from this point up, trying to keep that same diagonal angle. That's pretty close. Get this stuff out of here. All right. So, and I've punched with the sprig punch. I've punched 2 sprigs in soft seafoam, and I've cut 2 sprigs in pear pizzazz. And what I'm going to do, excuse me, these are leaves, not leaves. This is the leaf punch, and that's the sprig punch. And what I'm going to do, just to give the leaves a little more interest, I'm going to take my piercing mat and my take your pick tool, and I'm using the oh gosh, what do we call this? This is like embossing stylus. So I'm just going to take my leaf, and I'm going to just gently at first just draw a line like a vein right up the leaf. Hopefully you can see that. And it just gives a little more detail. And then this leaf, it's going this way. It's curving to the left. And then this one is kind of straight, but you can put a small angle on it. So that just gives the leaf a little more interest if you don't want to be stamping them with, there is a coordinating stamp, but this makes it a little bit faster. So once again, that one going that way, That one that way, and this one kind of straight, just a slight. There. Just gives, like I said, just a little more interest to your leaves. All right, so I think we can assemble this now. So we've got our background, and what I'm going to do first, oh yes, and we have a piece of ribbon. This is from the Magnolia Lane suite. There's a 2-piece ribbon packet. Comes with the Mossy Meadow. I don't know if this is, I can't figure it out. It's not really linen thread. It might be Mossy Meadow linen thread. And then it comes with a roll of this woven, natural woven thread. And this is about 3.5 inches long. And I'm going to take it and create a V, kind of pinch it in the middle. And then I like to put some snail in there just to kind of hold that V a little bit, because we're going to be attaching it to the back of our card. And the only thing that's a problem is this ribbon does like to unravel very easily. So I have my V's pointing out, or the V in the middle, and we're going to put a bunch of snail on the back of this. So I have lots of surface area to attach things to, like my leaves and my ribbon. So I'm going to stick my ribbon about there, and then I'm going to take one of the Pear Pizzazz leaves and kind of just tuck that in, and then I'll take one of the soft seafoam ones, and maybe I'll take that leaf and go between. And I'll do the same over here. We'll take one Pear Pizzazz leaf, and then I'll take, whoops, do not get some adhesive there. And then we're going to get, let me put some more adhesive. Apparently we're not catching enough adhesive there. So let's get this back on there. And then we're going to take this again. We'll just tuck that so they're kind of interwoven together. So there we go. So I'm going to put this on with dimensionals on the front of my card. Oh, you know what I forgot to do, and we probably, so I also stamped with, actually I used, let's see, did I use garden green for that? I think I did. So what I need to do is I'm going to grab a Post-it note and cover that corner so that we can stamp. And we could have stamped that before we cut this centerpiece, and then you wouldn't have to worry about it. But since I forgot, just so I don't get ink on there. So I'm just going to stamp once in that corner. I don't know if I did use Pear Pizzazz or garden green, but we're going to go with garden green right now. So I'm just going to stamp that right in that corner. Yep, I guess I did use Pear Pizzazz. So, well, you get to see which one you like better. So this one was Pear Pizzazz, so it's very light, and this one's garden green, so it's a little bit, it's on the dark side, but that's okay. So I'm going to get my dimensionals and put this on. I'm going to put them right over some of my leaves to make sure I have extra adhesive so that they're stuck on there. And I'm going to stick one right there just to make sure it's well stuck. All right. And then we'll just need to attach our sentiment, and we'll be good to go. So this is going to go, I want to make sure I've got enough space so that piece can go on even. So yep, I'm going to put it right over here. And then I'm just going to put snail on the back of that sentiment and attach it to my vellum piece. And I want to try to get that as evenly centered there as I can. And we're going to put dimensionals on the back of that as well, right behind our soft seafoam, so you can't see it through the vellum. And that's gonna go right here. So there we go. So like I said, this one I used Pear Pizzazz and this one I used Garden Green, so you can decide which one you like better. So that's project number 2, and we'll be off to project number 3 in our next video. Thanks for watching, and I hope you come back. Bye-bye.